Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Gather round for this review. Now with a new format apparently, where we're trying to be all mystical and shit. Kind of like some sort of new beginning. Today we have an enchanting story. A hero's tale about a boy who grew up playing Spyro the Dragon video games. But little did they know that many years from whence he started, he would return. Reviewing the entire franchise, anything with the word Spyro in the title would not be safe. And in this year of 2016, on this very day that he would enter the dragonfly, he finally completed his own age-old prophecy of playing and making a dumb video about the games he never wanted to play, even as a curious child. The Legend of Spyro series. Maybe should have saved that for last. Well, shit. Here we are again, taking a look at more Spyro. The only difference is that this time, I'm not excited. I remember being really pumped for a new Spyro game when I was younger, even though I'd only played the first two. I never actually got Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning, but I remember going to my cousin's house and watching it being played there. Even as a 10-year-old kid, I questioned everything I saw, and I was watching the tutorial for fuck's sake. So, here we are 10 years later for the 10-year anniversary of the game. I'm a little early, but what are you gonna do? So, I'll be honest, I'm really not looking forward to playing through this, but I have to. Because of my prophecy or some shit. Right off of the title screen and into a river of exposition.
In the year of the dragon.
Ha! So, put simply, this game is a reboot of the Spyro franchise, as is clear from the title. It's actually an origin story for the Purple Dragon, although it doesn't match up with everything else, so let's just pretend it's an alternate universe. It's also going for a darker and more serious tone, which I actually kind of enjoy. It fits. Spyro is just an egg at the Dragon Dojo as it's overrun by dark armies. One of the Dragon Elders, Ignitus, saves the egg and it's found by two dragonflies. The male dragonfly goes on to rape the female dragonfly before any other males can, giving her his sperm so she can lay several dozen eggs. These eggs then hatch into larvae which live underwater, breathing through gills located in their rectal chamber until they evolve into dragonflies. Of all of these dragonflies, only one survives apparently, who is named Sparks, and he and Spyro grow up together, raised as brothers.
Never catch me this time, purple boy.
So we get a tutorial, and it's one of the most hand-holding tutorials I've ever played. Use the right stick to move the camera. Use the left stick to walk around. Use the X button to jump! And then we have fucking David Spade as the voice of Sparks.
What's the matter, little Spyro? You can't fly? Oh, that's right, you walk everywhere. That's too bad.
People think Daxter in the Jak and Daxter games is irritating. I cannot fucking stand David Spade, and yet here he is as the comedic relief character, which means he's the main voice we hear throughout the entire game. Is it too early to strangle myself? So, as we play through the tutorial, we realise that this game got the Crash of the Titans treatment. Remove the fast-paced and fun platforming in exchange for dull and lazy button mashing. There is a much bigger focus on combat in this game compared to previous titles. So much of a bigger focus that it's literally all you do for the entire game. Sparks gets captured by some baboon bastards and we have to save him. Spyro learns to spit fire, which takes so much longer to kill enemies than just kicking the shit out of them, and eventually scares off the dumb apes. So Spyro learns that he is in fact not a dragonfly and sets off to find out who he is and where he comes from. Standard stock story stuff. But already, we're fighting more of the same enemies. I've only just finished the tutorial and I've run out of combat moves to perform, and the fire is worthless. For one, you can actually run out of this ability to breathe fire and the other breaths you get throughout the game. Wow, they really picked one thing and ran with it, didn't they? To fill up your meter, you need to collect green gems, while red gems give you energy, blue give you experience points, and purple fill up this bar that we'll talk about shortly. But honestly, aside from that and a few of the characters, there is very little relation to the rest of the series. Fucking good. We continue further to find Ignitus, who takes us back to the Dragon Temple, where we need to do more of what we've already been doing, blended in with a few really lame puzzles. And amongst all of the hand-holding, I'm already sick to death of fighting people. Every time an enemy appears, the same battle music comes on, and I have to fight the same enemies with the same moves over and over again. And maybe if the gameplay was changed up later on, I wouldn't have such a big problem with it. But it isn't. This is literally all you do for the entire game. Fight the same enemies in the same way with the same music in the same lifeless linear environments. Once we clear out the temple, it's time for another tutorial? Are you kidding me? And I'm learning the same shit that I've already mastered at this point. What even is this? This isn't game design, this is just fucking terrible. And it goes on and on and on until the game goes, well, I'm sure you're sick to death of this stuff, so because that's all you'll be doing for the next 5 hours, why don't you take a break and do our Star Fox section that's lamer than the speedways from Season of Ice? I'm sorry, but if it seems like I sound uninterested in this video, it's because I am. Games that are fucking terribly broken don't get enough credit in my opinion, because at least they can make you laugh. But a game like this, filled with nothing but mediocrity, it's hard to care. I mean, they can't even get charging right. You lose the ability to turn when you charge, so it makes the move worthless. If they can't get that right, then what else should I expect? The game is essentially the video game version of a straight line. Unlike other Spyro games where you have the freedom to visit areas in any order, this game forces you through a swamp, a snowy fortress where enemies spawn inside of objects, a floating jungle, a volcano mine, and an icy castle. In that order, of course. All of the levels look really depressing and there is no variety. Look at this! Every level has us killing these baboon enemies, and while they have a reskin in some levels, it's the same enemies. Nothing changes. Run here, punch shit, learn a new breath, and fight an unspeakably easy boss. Seriously, with no punishment for failure, in fact quite the opposite, every single boss requires nothing but button mashing. How original.
Thank you for releasing me.
Once you do this, you save a Dragon Elder and go back to the temple to do another tutorial. Fuck. You are forced to do this tutorial 4 times to learn how to use each breath ability. Do you think that's enough? This is so lazy. The game uses the same cutscenes in the same lines of dialogue, and for what? Teaching me how to do the same thing I already know how to do? Our different breath abilities are fire, electricity, ice, and earth. Each one has a different projectile attack and a different devastation move. That's what the purple gems are for, and experience points earned from collecting blue gems can be used to upgrade your attacks. The devastation moves aren't even all that helpful, sometimes only damaging the enemies around you instead of completely destroying them. But with all of this extra shit, the enemies don't get any easier to kill. They all have health bars and there isn't a single attack that is stronger than another, making them all worthless. The only thing helpful is electric breath, as it lets you fling enemies off of platforms so you don't have to fight them. Cheers. I really wish there was more to say about this game, but there just isn't. The first 10 minutes of gameplay, the first tutorial, is all you need to know. Once you've done this, you've seen everything this game has to offer. I mean, this game is just a simple combat platformer. Kind of like Ratchet and Clank when you really think about it. Going from level to level, platforming around and fighting people. And even though that is technically the same thing over and over again, it's done well and it doesn't get repetitive, unlike this failed abortion. Ratchet and Clank changes things up ever so slightly, just enough to make each level feel different. It's not that hard, so why was this such a total waste of my fucking time? The story is the only thing holding this game together, like scotch tape and craft paste. What happened to running between levels, collecting gems, interacting with unique characters, And having it all mean something. How did we get so far away from that? It blows my fucking mind. Games need to evolve. But why do so many great series take such a nosedive like this? It's unfucking acceptable. So, as the story goes on, we learn of a dragon named Cinder who is working for the Dark Baboon Master. She's from the same clan as Spyro, but she has been turned evil, kidnapping the Elder Dragons for energy. So it's time for the final level, which is 50% combat and 50% forced, repetitive, dull, lifeless fucking combat. The only thing this level does well is create a foreboding and tense atmosphere. After all of this shit. It actually reminds me a lot of Hollow Bastion from Kingdom Hearts. Breathtaking architecture and endless rooms filled with enemies. Via a cutscene worse than a preschooler claymation, Spyro finally meets face to face with Cinder, and they fight and it's really bad. She escapes into a space dimension a la End of the World, and all we have to do here is platform until we reach Cinder for the final boss. Again, this is pretty simple, which is sad because the last 30 minutes of gameplay has shat all over the rest of this mess. We defeat Cinder, but we're too late in stopping her resurrection of the Dark Master. Another baboon. I wonder what enemies will be in the next game. Cinder shrinks to Spyro's size, he rescues her, and they return to the temple ready for the next adventure. The next 2 adventures. And I've got the handheld versions to do too. I fucking hate myself. Overall, what can I say about this game that I haven't already said? Flavourless, vanilla, stock, generic, and uninspired are all words that come to mind. Along with bastard, shit, miserable, piss off, fuck, I hate this fucking game, and dirty cunt. This is one of the most mediocre experiences of my life, and it makes me sick that I'm not done with these games. There is nothing noteworthy here, and it's a shame. This game had as much potential as any other to be an okay game, but instead, just shit itself. It reminds me of Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier. So on that note, The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning gets 4 out of 10. It's pathetic and doesn't deserve Spyro's name. The end. And now for the worst part about having to play these games. I have to keep playing them. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. I'm Square-Eyed Jack, and have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.